The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. He was somehow able to squeeze Colbert out of CBS. Then he turned his sights on me, and now he's openly rooting for NBC to fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and the hundreds of Americans who work for their shows who don't make millions.
You said, I'm a never Trump guy, never liked him, terrible candidate, idiot if you voted for him, might be America's Hitler, might be a cynical a-hole, cultural heroine, noxious and reprehensible.
Look, I was wrong about Donald Trump. I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Brett. He was a great president.
I didn't know you meant that, Donald Trump.
It takes a special kind of delusion for a sitting president and his hand-picked bootlicker to think they're rewriting history when they look like a sketch rejected from late-night TV. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't need to write jokes. Trump and JD Vance deliver them on cue. Every contradiction, every overblown gesture, every stumble dressed as confidence becomes a setup waiting for Kimmel's strike. And when it lands, it's not comedy. It's demolition with applause as the soundtrack.
Tylenol. It's been overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people in the world over the last 6 days. Everyone I have ever met has reached out 10 or 11 times. Weird characters from my past are the guy who fired me from my first radio job in Seattle, where we are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry, and I want to thank everyone who checked in. It would take all week to list all of them, but some that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late-night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert, who's found himself in this predicament, my friends Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, Conan O'Brien, James Corden, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, even Jay reached out. Sometimes I wonder in what world is the vice president of the United States calling into a giant-toothed podcast host to badmouth me and the people who watch this show.
There are these judges. Judge Boasberg comes to mind. Lots of judges who are trying to basically say the president can't exercise the powers of the presidency. You're an attorney. How do you assess the legal battles here?
Yeah, I bet all those judges are huge fans of Jimmy Kimmel, by the way. But I think, Vince, that, one, we have an appeals process.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell, because Kimmel's target practice just got started. Trump struts like the universe bends to his will, while Vance hovers beside him like an eager intern praying for a promotion. The duo looks less like leaders and more like a touring act that lost its way to a talent show. One inflates his myth, the other sells tickets to it. Together, they're the political version of a novelty act that doesn't know it's the joke.
We are here. Our freedom to speak is what they admire most about this country. And that's something I'm embarrassed to say I took for granted until they pulled my friend Stephen off the air and tried to coerce the affiliates who run our show in the cities that you live in to take my show off the air. That's not legal. That's not American. That is un-American, and it is so dangerous.
Kimmel's genius is in treating them for what they are, performers in bad costume drama. Trump acts like he's auditioning for a role written about him, all dramatic pauses and self-praise. Vance claps on cue, nodding through lines no one believes. Kimmel strips away the illusion and shows the truth. These aren't leaders. They're improv actors who never learned the script.
Stop that. Look, it's just me, Jimmy, the chairman of the FCC, gently suggesting that you gently shut the up.
But you can't say that. That's a violation of free speech.
Oh, yeah, about that. Speech, it ain't free no more.
What? It's not free no more?
Yeah, we're charging by the word now.
You're charging by the word? How much are you charging?
It depends on what you want to say. Like, you want to say something nice about the president's beautiful, thick yellow hair, or how he can do his makeup better than any broad. That's free.
When Trump brags about his business genius, Kimmel reminds everyone that it's built on bankruptcies so massive they could qualify as landmarks. The mogul who couldn't run a casino now stands beside a senator who sold his soul for a seat at his table. One lost his fortune, the other lost his integrity. Together, they're a buddy act collapsing under its own delusion.
To being a direct violation of the First Amendment is not a particularly intelligent threat to make in public. Ted Cruz said he sounded like a mafioso. Although, I don't know, if you want to hear a mob boss make a threat like that, you have to hide a microphone in a deli and park outside in a van with a tape recorder all night long. This genius said it on a podcast. Brendan Carr is the most embarrassing car Republicans have embraced since this.
Kimmel thrives on contradiction. Trump rails against elites while living like one, eating gold-plated steaks under chandeliers named after himself. Vance, once the voice of the forgotten, now forgets who he was whenever the cameras roll. They call it populism, but it's really performance art on clearance. The crowd laughs not because it's funny, but because disbelief is the only response left.
How long you worked here?
A year?
Okay. Donut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which donut, though?
Just whatever makes sense. No pickles. Hold the pickles.
Oh, well, no, I can get that for you.
Kimmel doesn't need exaggeration. The absurdity handles itself. A president whining about unfairness while posing as a strongman. A senator mimicking loyalty like a man clinging to a sinking ship. Their contradictions are the punchlines. Vance plays the ventriloquist's dummy, mouthing Trump's grievances, while Trump parades him around like proof of strength, blind to the fact it looks more like a hostage video than a partnership.
He has a tradition of meddling where they shouldn't under many administrations, but it wasn't always like this. There was an FCC commissioner back in 2022 who worked under Joe Biden who was spot on. He wrote, "President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship." You know who wrote that? FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr.
Then come the rallies, blooper reels masquerading as political events. Trump's self-praise blends into grievance until even his supporters can't tell which is which. Vance tags along, nodding like a hype man at a bad concert. The unity they promise drowns beneath noise and ego, turning governance into an infomercial for chaos.
Hi, I'm Ohio Senator JD Vance. The mainstream media, they want you to think that I'm weird. They call me creepy, cringy, awkward, that I give people something called the ick. They want you to think that I can't order a simple donut.
Trump demands to be remembered as a titan. Kimmel reframes him as a relic, a man who mistakes shouting for strength and repetition for proof. Vance, the apprentice of ambition, becomes the cautionary tale, the echo of a leader fading into self-parody. Kimmel's jokes don't just sting. They peel back the veneer. Trump's empire of ego, Vance's mask of authenticity. Both crumble into dust.
Was appointed chairman of the FCC by this former crusader for free speech.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple. Just like dominoes, one by one, they'll go down.
That was also in 2022. And I wonder, how did that guy turn into this guy?
Who would you like to see replace Kimmel on late night?
A lot of people, anybody could replace him. The guy had no talent. Kimmel had, look, he was fired. He had no talent. He's a whack job. but he had no talent, and more importantly than talent, he had no, because a lot of people have no talent.
Every flaw becomes an exhibit in hypocrisy's museum. Trump's dominance unravels into insecurity. Vance's rebellion curdles into obedience. Kimmel doesn't mock, he dissects. The mogul becomes the symbol of chaos he pretends to control. The outsider becomes proof that the swamp just changes names, not faces.
I don't agree with many of those people on most subjects. Some of the things they say even make me want to throw up. It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it, and thanks. For telling their followers that our government cannot be allowed to control what we do and do not say on television, and that we have to stand up to it. I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about change.
Vance's authenticity has decayed into pure performance, a loyalty audition without conviction. Kimmel highlights how quickly he traded principle for proximity to power. Trump's strength now reads as parody, Vance's independence as submission. The emperor still struts, but the costume's unraveling. The apprentice still flatters, but no one's listening. In the end, laughter delivers the verdict. The kings of bluster have become jesters in their own court.
I mean, seriously, if that guy walked into your office and told you he was there to start making cuts.
I have friends who met a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, who met the best man at their wedding at Turning Points USA because it was an organization of patriots dedicated to making this country the very best country that it could be.
Each contradiction deepens the collapse. Trump poses as the unbreakable patriarch, but every tantrum proves fragility. Vance clings harder, mistaking obedience for importance. Kimmel weaves it all into a highlight reel of political absurdity, a blooper season where chaos pretends to be charisma. Trump's the headliner who won't leave the stage, convinced the applause is still real. Vance is the backup dancer mistaking motion for meaning. Together, they're the joke that forgot it was funny.
To talk to the chairman of the FCC.
You don't need to know my name, and I am the new chairman of the FCC.
You were appointed FCC chairman by Donald Trump?
Sir Trump, yes. I used to do this work for the man here and there in Atlantic City.
But did I just hear you on the phone threatening Whoopi Goldberg?
No, I would never threaten Miss Goldstein. I was just teaching her a lesson about consequences.
No, well, pardon me for saying so, maybe you're the wrong guy to talk to, but it seems like the FCC is using mob tactics to suppress free speech.
What the did you just...
And that's the final sting, not defeat, but exposure. Kimmel doesn't invent the flaws. He reveals them. The self-proclaimed titans dissolve under the weight of their own myth. Trump's hunger for legacy guarantees ridicule. Vance's hunger for approval ensures he shares it. Their fall isn't tragic. It's inevitable. Legends fade. Parodies linger. And under Kimmel's light, both men are exactly what they tried hardest not to be. Punchlines.